SLT Mobitel, the connection.
නිවසේ මෙවැනි මත් පිට රැඳෙන විස බීජ 99.9%ක්ම විනාශ කරන විම් ක්ලීනර්ස්.
Tonight, playing it safe. Travel restrictions extended until the 7th of June, while no vehicles and only neighbourhood shopping trips permitted tomorrow. Reassurance. Health experts say no Sri Lankan patients have black fungus and assure that it is not transmissible. Critical mission. A special Sri Lankan Airlines flight takes wing to bring back 500,000 doses of Sinopharm vaccine. All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Monday, the 24th of May, 2021.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Kanaka. Now, if there were doubts before what the situation surrounding movement restrictions would be, there can't be any now. The government announced today that the restrictions currently in place will be extended until the 7th of next month. There, however, will be several days in between when the restrictions will be relaxed, giving people a window to replenish their stocks. The first such window will come into effect tomorrow from 4 a.m. with only one member of a household permitted out to do essential shopping, and even then, they have to visit the nearest one within walking distance without using vehicles.
Taking the country's current COVID-19 situation into consideration, the government today decided to extend the island-wide travel restriction until the 7th of June. During this period, the public will receive windows on certain days to venture out and restock essential supplies. Accordingly, the restrictions will be relaxed at 4 am tomorrow and will be imposed again at 11 pm on the same day. During this 19-hour window, one person from each household will be permitted to visit the nearest outlet within walking distance to purchase essentials or medicines. Travelling by vehicles is not allowed.
වාහන කිසිම අවස්ථාවක ගාල් කිරීමට අවස්ථාව ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ. මහා මාර්ගයේ හෝ මෙම වෙළඳසැල් තියෙන තැන්වල සුපිරි වෙළඳසැල් තියෙන තැන්වල සියලුම පොලිස් නිලධාරීන්ට ඒ ගැන උපදෙස් දීලා තියෙනවා. හෙට දිනේදී වාහන ගාල් කරන්න බෑ. එහෙම ගාල් කරන වාහනයක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒක අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවාවකට සම්බන්ධ වාහනයක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. නැත්නම් මේ අවසරගත ඩිලිවරි සේවාවකට සම්බන්ධ වාහනයක් වෙන්න ඕනේ.
The restrictions will be reimposed at 11 pm tomorrow and will continue until 4 am on the 31st of May. Then, movement restrictions will once more be relaxed on the 31st of May from 4 am to 11 pm for the general public to restock their essentials. After that, the next window of relaxed movement restriction will come into effect at 4 am on the 4th of June. As before, restrictions will once more come into effect at 11 pm on the 4th of June and will continue until 4 am on the 7th of June. Further, the people in isolated areas will not be allowed to venture out during the windows or relaxed restrictions, since those areas continue to carry the threat of COVID spread.
We request the people of Sri Lanka to cooperate with all armed forces and police who are controlling this period during especially this enforcement of travel restriction. In the meantime, there will be on these specific dates where the travel restrictions are being eased off, on those days shops, supermarkets and pharmacies decided specially by the GAs will be informed, notified in that respective areas, and people are requested to go to the nearest shop or the pharmacy rather travelling to some other area. Bars and other things will not be open, only these two categories will be open.
When movement restrictions are in place, steps are taken to ensure that mobile vendors operate and deliver essential goods door to door.
මේ වෙනකොට සෑම දිස්ත්‍රික්කයකම ග්‍රාමීය කමිටු මැදිහත් වෙලා ඒ ගමේ සිල්ලර වෙළඳසැල් දෙකක් හඳුනාගෙන ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම් හරහා එව්වට ඒ කඩ විවෘතව තබන්න නිර්දේශ කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම මේ අත්‍යවශ්‍ය භාණ්ඩ ගම්වල බෙදා හරින්න ජංගම රථ සඳහා ඒ අදාළ ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම් කොට්ටාසයට සීමා වෙන විදියට එහෙම නැත්නම් ග්‍රාමීය කමිටු ඒ බල ප්‍රදේශයට සීමා වෙන පරිදි අවසර පත් දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අයට ඒ කටයුතු කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්කම තියෙනවා ඉදිරි දින කිහිපය තුල. ඒ කටයුත්ත කරන්න ඉඩ දෙන්නේ අර අපි සංචලන සීමා ලිහිල් කරන දවස්වලට තදබදය අඩු කර ගැනීම සඳහා තමයි ඒක කරන්නේ.
His Excellency the President has given instruction to all the ministers, those who are involved in trade and commerce and other respective areas, and also the political authority to support, to get the food and the essential items through mobile system also. This is not something new to us. We have been practicing this during the first wave of COVID and we were very successful. So therefore, we believe that if there's a mobile system coming onto your own places, then it will be easy. And we have given permission for such people to move on roads.
Meanwhile, the farming community was given the go-ahead by the government to carry on with their activities without hindrance. They were urged to connect their mobile vendors and to connect them their produce. Special permission for this process is not required. As for the banks, they are allowed to operate with a minimum staff since they fall under the category of essential service. What's more, the industries in the export sector will also be given permission to operate during the period of restrictions.
බාණ්ඩ අපනයන කරන කර්මාන්තවලට ඒ කටයුතු කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන් සෞඛ්‍ය උපදෙස් පරිදි ඒවට හානියක් නොවන පරිදි සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම අපෙන්න කටයුතු අකණ්ඩව කරගෙන යන්නත් වරායෙන් ලබා දී යුතු උපරිම සේවාන් වරාය හරහා අපි ලබා දෙනවා.
අපනයන සම්බන්ධව මේ වෙනකොට ඒ අපනයන සඳහා විවෘත කරලා තියෙන කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවල සේවකීන්ට ඒ ස්ථානවලට යන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකට BOI එකේ අනුමැතිය ලැබිලා තියෙනවා නම් එයාගේ නාම ලේඛන වලට ඒ අනුව කටයුතු කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ හැර මොන හරි විමසීමක් කරන්න ඕන නම් BOI එකේ DGට කතා කරලා ඒ තොරතුරු ලබා ගැනීමට පුළුවන්කම තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, a special 24-hour hotline for public inquiries on essential services has been set up. Members of the public can call the hotline 1965 for any inquiries regarding essential services during the travel restriction period. This is being implemented under the Presidential Task Force for Economic Revival and Poverty Alleviation.
කාලගුණය කොහොමුණත් රයිනෝ නං වහලට සේෆ් තමයි මුළු ගෙදරම.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa meanwhile urges people to do their part to overcome COVID-19 and take their share of the responsibility. He made the comment when the Special Task Force on the Prevention of COVID-19 met this morning.
දැන් අපි දැන් මේ 25 මේක ඕපන් කරනවා කියලා කිව්වේ අර අත්‍යවශ්‍ය බඩු ටික ඒගොල්ලන්ට ගන්න විතරයි. පාටි දාන්න නෙමෙයි මේක තියෙන්නේ. දැන් අද උනත් මං එනකොට වාහන විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් වැඩි. මේ කියන්නේ ජනතාව මේ වගකීම බලගන්නේ නැහනේ. මං වාක්‍ය බලන් ආවා අර ડોක්ටර්ස්ලා කියලා ගහගෙන යනවා. ડોක්ටර්ස්ලා ඔච්චර පාරේ ඉන්න විදියක් නැහනේ. බලන්න ඕන මොකද්ද ડોක්ටර්ගේ නම කොහෙද කරන්න කියලා. මොකද බොරු අය අර සීල් එක ගහගෙන යනවා. වැහුවට වැඩක් නැහැ. ජනතාව මේක තේරුම් අරගන්න නැතුව මේ විදියට කරන්න නැත්නම් අද වහලා තියෙන දවසක්නේ. නීති දාලා විතර කරන්න බෑනේ. වගකීම බාර ගන්න එපා. මේ සාමාන්‍ය අඩු ආදායම් අයට කොහොමද එළවලු ටික බෙදන්නේ මේ අත්‍යවශ්‍ය බඩු මල්ලක් බෙදන්නේ කියන එක තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ වෙන්නේ. ඒක තමයි ඕගනයිස් කරගන්න ඕනේ GS-ලා.
Health experts reassured the public today that Sri Lanka has not reported any COVID-19 patients with black fungus infection and also sought to allay public fears that the condition is highly transmissible. Head of the Department of Mycology at the Sri Lanka Medical Research Institute, Dr. Primali Jayasekara, stated that the fungus is not a new phenomenon in the country and not a cause for concern as it is not transmissible. Dr. Jayasekara added that the health sector has the necessary facilities, medication and specialists to treat patients who contract this infection.
Health authorities yesterday contradicted reports of an alleged infection recorded from Ampara to be the result of the feared rare black fungus. The fear was intensified in the backdrop where India reported around 9,000 cases of it in COVID-19 patients. However, consultant mycologist Dr. Primali Jayasekara said today that none of the COVID-19 patients in Sri Lanka have developed the black fungus infection and that it is not transmissible.
මේ කළු දිලීරේ එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒකට මියුකෝමයිකෝසිස් කියලා අපි කියන්නේ ලංකාවට අලුත් දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. අපිට 2019 වර්ෂයේදී කළු දිලීර රෝගීන් 42ක් වාර්තා වෙලා තියෙනවා. 2020 වර්ෂයේදී 24 දෙනෙකුත් 2021 වර්ෂයේ මේ දක්වා 24 දෙනෙකුත් අපිට වාර්තා වෙලා තියෙනවා. මේ කිසිම රෝගියෙකුට COVID-19 වෛරසය ආසාදනය වෙලා නැහැ.
Dr. Jayasekara then explained that the country is fully capable of treating patients with mucormycosis.
මොකද ලංකාව නිරක්ෂය ආසන්නයේ පිහිටලා තියෙන රටක් වශයෙන් ඒ දිලීරය වැඩෙන්න අවශ්‍ය සියලුම පරිසර සාධක තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම මේ දිලීරය අපේ රටේ පස්සල තියෙනවා. ඒ විතරක් නෙමෙයි බොහෝ විට මේ දිලීර රෝගය හැදෙන්නේ ප්‍රතිශක්තිකරණ පද්ධතිය දුර්වල රෝගීන්ගේ. ඒ විතරක් නෙමෙයි අපේ රටේ සියලුම වෛද්‍යවරුන් විශේෂඥ වෛද්‍යවරුන් මේ පිළිබඳව දැනුවත්. ඒගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා කරන්න ඕන මොනවද කියලා ඒ සඳහා සියලුම පහසුකම් අපිට තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, Sri Lanka reported 2,959 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday. It's the second day of daily caseload dipping under 3,000. The Colombo district confirmed the highest number of infections once again with 554 cases. Gampaha recorded 391 infections, while 198 cases of the virus were reported from the Galle district. Meanwhile, Anuradhapura reported 179 COVID-19 infections and Kaluthara recorded 174 cases. The districts of Nuwara, Puttalam and Ratnapura confirmed 167, 152 and 151 infections respectively. 134 cases were reported from Matara, while 125 cases were confirmed from Matale, with 105 reported from Kandy and 103 from Kegol. A further 512 cases of the virus were reported across 13 other districts. 14 imported cases were also part of yesterday's daily caseload. As for today, 2,283 COVID-19 infections have been confirmed in the island so far. In the meantime, Sri Lanka's daily COVID-19 related deaths rose to 1,210 after 32 COVID-19 fatalities were confirmed yesterday. According to the Department of Government Information, 5 of the deaths had actually occurred on yesterday itself. The remaining 27 fatalities had taken place between the 23rd of April and the 22nd of May. 14 of the victims were over 71 years of age, while 9 were between 61 and 70 years of age. 3 victims had been between 51 and 60 years of age. Meanwhile, 5 victims were in their 40s and the remaining victim had been a 28-year-old. COVID pneumonia and complications stemming from underlying health conditions such as diabetes and heart diseases have been identified as the cause of death of the victims. In other developments, the Ministry of Health has announced that it is decided to convert 50 Ayurveda hospitals across the island into intermediate COVID-19 treatment centers. With this, 3,500 more beds will be available for COVID-19 patients. The ministry also stated that it would give formal training on COVID-19 treatment methods to staff members of these selected Ayurveda hospitals. As things stand, there have been 139,947 COVID-19 recoveries in the island, with 1,296 being given the all-clear to leave their treatment centers today. The country has also a blank new number of active novel coronavirus cases.
Meanwhile, Director General of Health Services Dr. Asela Gunawardene issued a revised set of guidelines for laboratories and other institutions which conduct RT-PCR and rapid antigen tests yesterday. All manner of walk-in or drive-through testing of such nature have been prohibited, while a test can now only be performed upon recommendations of a consultant or the medical officer in charge of the triage counter.
Director General of Health Dr. Asela Gunawardene published revised guidelines for private laboratories conducting RT-PCR and rapid antigen tests for COVID-19. Walk-in and drive-through PCR and rapid antigen testing have been prohibited under the new guidelines. Further, the tests should be conducted only when it is indicated as per the recommendations of the consultant or the medical officer in charge of the triage counter. After obtaining the samples, the patient should be advised to isolate inside the institution or home until the report is issued. If a patient is found to be COVID-19 positive, it is the responsibility of the hospital to inform the epidemiology unit of the Ministry of Health, the medical officer of health in the respective areas, and the patients. The laboratory or the hospital must arrange for the COVID-positive patients to be accommodated in an authorized COVID-19 treatment center as per the recommendation of the responsible physician. What's more, the Director General of Health notes that if private laboratories fail to abide by the stipulated guidelines, the authorization of the relevant institutions to perform RT-PCR testing and rapid antigen tests will be cancelled. However, these guidelines are not applicable for those who are required to get PCR tests done for foreign travels. COVID-19 testing done at workplaces is also excluded from these guidelines, and the Director General of Health says that such testing should be continued to be conducted as per the screening and laboratory testing strategy for COVID-19 for employees in workplaces issued by the Ministry of Health.
Now, Sri Lanka's vaccination program is set to get a much-needed boost with the expected arrival of 500,000 doses of China's Sinopharm vaccine in the next 24 hours. A special Sri Lankan Airlines flight took wing this afternoon, headed for Beijing, where the donation stock awaits. Meanwhile, as of yesterday, a total of 1,439,501 people have received their first vaccine doses, while 333,423 have received their second shots.
From the 29th of January to the 25th of March 2021, Sri Lanka's vaccination program was run solely on its stocks of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines, which at the time consisted of a bit over 1.2 million doses. At this point, the health sector had already received 500,000 doses on 28 January as a donation from India, 500,000 doses from the Serum Institute in late February as the first part of its 10 million order, and a further 264,000 doses through the WHO's COVAX facility in March. According to WHO plans, Sri Lanka was set to receive 1.44 million doses through May, while additional doses to cover 20% of Sri Lanka's population were expected to arrive in the second half of 2021, both at no cost to the government. When the vaccination program kicked off on the 29th of January, first doses of the Covishield vaccine were administered to a total of 869,709 people by the 25th of March, while authorities retained 338,758 doses in storage to be administered as second doses. Then on the 31st of March, Sri Lanka received 600,000 doses of the Sinopharm vaccine as a donation from China, which remained in storage before the green light was finally given by the National Medicine Regulatory Authority on the 20th of March. By then, however, Sri Lanka had already received a consignment of 15,000 Sputnik V vaccines as well in early March out of an order for 13 million. With the government now armed with 3 vaccine options, the program kicked into high gear, resulting in a further 55,533 Covishield first doses administered between the 26th of March and the 22nd of April. Meanwhile, the administering of Sputnik first doses commenced from the 30th of April, and by the 13th of this month, a total of 14,900 people had received their jabs. On the 7th of this month, health authorities began administering Sinopharm doses, and by the 13th of May, a total of 214,880 had been administered. On average, since the beginning of the vaccine program, health authorities had been able to maintain a daily average of 64,000 jabs up to the 17th of this month. However, as Covishield doses began to dwindle, the daily average from the 18th to the 23rd of this month dropped to a bit over 22,000 doses per day, consisting of mainly Covishield second doses, Sinopharm first doses, and Sputnik first doses. And with an express shipment of 500,000 doses of Sinopharm expected to arrive possibly sometime tomorrow, this number is expected to improve significantly and may be sufficient for about 10 days of vaccine supplies at conservative estimates. The Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka announced on social media today the departure of a Sri Lankan Airlines flight UL868 from Colombo to Beijing to pick up the Sinopharm doses. With that, as of yesterday, 925,242 Sri Lankans have received their first Covishield doses, while 330,988 have received their second doses as well. Meanwhile, 514,259 people have received their first Sinopharm doses, while 2,435 their second. A total of 14,984 people have so far been administered the Sputnik V vaccine. In the meantime, the Public Health Inspectors Union has lodged its protest over what they term preferential treatment for close family of Government Medical Officers Association members. PHI Union head Upul Rona stated that it was unfair that the Health Ministry was prioritizing GMOA families over frontline health workers who are yet to receive their jabs.
රජයේ වෛද්‍යධාරීන්ගේ සංගමයේ සමාජිකයින් සහ ඔවුන්ගේ පවුල්වල අය පමණක් රැකීම සඳහා සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ගත්තු මේ තීරණයට අපි දැඩි අප්‍රසාදය පළ කරනවා. ඒ වගේම අත දිනේ අපි ඒ එන්නත් ලබා දීමේ කිසිදු ස්ථානයක එන්නත් වැඩසටහන සඳහා අපේ තාක්ෂණික දායකත්වය ලබා දෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේ සඳහා ඊයේ දින රාත්‍රියේදී හෙද සේවය, අතුරු වෛද්‍ය සේවය සහ පරිපූර්ණක වෛද්‍ය සේවයේ සියලුම වෘත්තීන් සහ විශේෂඥ වෛද්‍යවරුන් ඇතුළු වෛද්‍යවරුන්ගේ වෘත්තීය සංගම් කීපයක් සාකච්ඡා කරා. ඒ නිසා අපේ තීරණය වෙන්නේ අද දිනය පැය 12ක් ඇතුළත හෙට දිනේදී ඉතිරි කාර්ය මණ්ඩලවල සියලුම දෙනාට එන්නත් ලබා දීම සඳහා සහ ඒ වගේම ඔවුන්ගේ පවුල්වල අයවලුන්ට එන්නත් ලබා දීම සඳහා නිශ්චිත ක්‍රමවේදයක් ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරන්නේ නැත්නම් අපි සියලුම දෙනා හෙට දින පෙරවරු 7:30 ඉඳලා COVID-19 සියලුම රාජකාරියන් ඉවත් වෙන්න තීරණය කරලා තියෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම ඍජුවම COVID-19 නිරාවරණය වෙන සියලුම වෘත්තිකයින් සඳහා පළමුව එන්නත් ලබා දිය යුතුයි. ඉන් අනතුරුව තමයි සෞඛ්‍ය සේවයේ අයවලුන්ගේ ඥාතීන්ට එන්නත් ලබා දීම කළ යුත්තේ කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා.
However, Deputy Director General of Education and Research at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Hemant Herath, denied the existence of such a preferential program.
මේ එන්නත් ලබා දෙන්නේ කාටද කොයි කණ්ඩායමටද කියන එක අවසාන වශයෙන් තීරණය කරන්නේ බෝන රෝග පිළිබඳව තියෙනවා විශේෂඥ උපදේශක කමිටුවක්. මේ මොහොතේ යම් ස්ථානයක පළවෙනි මාත්‍රාව ලබා දුන්න අයට දෙවන මාත්‍රා තිබෙන පරිදි ලබා දීමේ ක්‍රියාවලියක් යනවා මිසක් විශේෂයෙන් එවැනි කටයුත්තකට ආරම්භ කරලා කියලා මට නම් තොරතුරු ලැබිලා නැහැ. අපිට මේ වෙන කිසිම සෞඛ්‍ය සේවකයෙකු වරප්‍රසාදලාභියෙක් හැටියට අපි සලකන්නේ නැහැ. අපි ඒ හැම දිනාටම මාගේ පවුලේ අයටත් නීත්‍යානුකූලව සාමාන්‍ය ක්‍රමවේදයෙන් ලබාගත් ක්‍රමවේදයෙන් පරිබාහිරව එන්නත් ලබා ගැනීමට මම කටයුතු කරලත් නැහැ. අපේ කවුරුත් එහෙම කටයුතු කරන්න උත්සාහ කරන්නෙත් නැහැ.
Police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana urges the public not to misuse essential services passes to engage in unlawful activities and warned of harsh action to deal with any possible attempts. Meanwhile, police continued operations to crack down on quarantine law violators during the period of travel restrictions.
As the entire country is currently under travel restrictions imposed to curb the spread of COVID-19, police operations are underway to crack down on any violators of the quarantine law. Since only essential services are allowed to operate during this period, vehicles are strictly inspected to see whether they qualify to be on the road. During an inspection, a person who transported heroin under the guise of transporting medicine was arrested by police in Ingiriya last night. Meanwhile, speaking at a media briefing today, the police media spokesperson warned that any person misusing permits given for essential services will be dealt with the law.
වෛද්‍යවරයෙක් වුණත් සෞඛ්‍ය සේවාවේ වුණත් වෙනත් අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවාවක වුණත් ඔබව නවත්වලා පොලිස් නිලධාරියෙක් මේ ගැන පරීක්ෂා කළොත් ඔබ නිවැරදි නියම වෛද්‍යවරයෙක් නම් ඔබට හිරිහැර කරන්න අපහාසයක් කරන්න නෙමෙයි මේ පරීක්ෂා කරන්නේ ව්‍යාජ පුද්ගලයෝ අඳුනගෙන ඔවුන් අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න ඔවුන් නීති ඉදිරියට ගේන්නේ.
Though the pandemic situation has never been more serious in this country, still there are people who haven't grasped the true gravity of the situation.
Within a period of last 24 hours, we have arrested 636 persons in respect of the offences of face mask, social distancing and quarantine rules and regulations. So this is the highest number we have arrested during the COVID period since the inception within a period of 24 hours. Out of that, 206 persons have been arrested in Matale area.
In the meantime, a special operation with the use of drones was launched in the areas of Kiselvatta, Maligavatta and Grand Pass yesterday.
Drones were operated in order to check the movements of the inmates of the area, and we have detected 27 persons who did not adhere with quarantine rules and regulations, and they were admonished by the police. However, 4 persons were arrested in the operation who had seriously violated quarantine rules and regulations.
Meanwhile, several areas of the island were isolated to curb the spread of COVID-19 today. Accordingly, the Gram Nildara divisions of Kuruvita and Delgamuva town in the Ratnapura district were isolated. Meanwhile, the Uravatta Gram Nildara division in the Gaul district as well as the Irivatia Gram Nildara division in the Gampha district were also isolated. In the Nuvarele district, the Sandarigama division of the Sandarigama estate as well as the NLDB farm of the same estate were brought under isolation. In the meantime, several more areas were brought out of isolation today. For more details, log on to www.AdaDerana.lk.
Bahrain's state news agency BNA says that travellers from countries on its red list, which includes Sri Lanka, will be suspended from entering the country from today. Bahraini citizens and residency visa holders are not covered by the suspension but will have to provide a PCR test before boarding a plane and quarantine for 10 days upon arrival. Now, residents of Gaul and Ratnapura have been warned to remain on high alert due to the rivers in the area reaching spill level. Meanwhile, heavy rainfall has been forecast over the next few days, with heavy winds also reported throughout the island due to a depression in the eastern Bay of Bengal that is to intensify into a severe cyclonic storm in the next 12 hours.
During the last 24 hours, the highest rainfall was reported from the Tabov area in Puttalam, which received 50.2 millimeters of rain during the period. Meanwhile, the heavy deluge in the Kaluganga has now reached spillover levels placing residents of the Ratnapura area at a risk of high flood damage. With that, authorities have requested the public residing in the area to remain vigilant. Meanwhile, in Galle, steps were taken to remove the silt and debris stuck below the Vakvella bridge in view of rising water levels of the Gingangal. Meanwhile, the roof of a Satosa warehouse in Busa sustained severe damage yesterday as a result of strong winds that accompanied the heavy rainfall yesterday.
Depression in the East Central Bay of Bengal has intensified into a cyclonic storm now. It's named as Yas, and it is likely to intensify further into a severe cyclonic storm during next 12 hours. And with the intensification of this system, we can expect heavy falls over southwestern quarter, western Sabaragamuwa central provinces, as well as Galle Mathura district during next 3 days. Southwest monsoon has established over Sri Lanka. Rain we can expect next few days also, even till end of this month. But the heavy falls are likely to, some reduction is likely to expect after 26.
Now, taking a look at the Colombo Bourse, Sri Lankan shares snapped 3 sessions of losses to end slightly higher today, driven by gains in financial and consumer stocks, with the CSE All Share Price Index closing up 0.2% at 7,233.58 points, while the S&P SL20 Index of more liquid stocks gained 1.41 points to close at 2,901.75. Now, here's Dimantha Matthew with a brief report on today's market performance.
With the COVID situation brought under control, we are seeing some sort of positivity among the investor community. So with the sort of declining trend we've seen over the last 2 days on the number of positive patients, today we saw a bit of positivity among the investors, bringing the SPI into the positive territory, where we saw the index improving by around 12 points to end at 7,233 points. So at the start of the day, was not a great start. We saw the index declining into the red, and however, after first hour of trading, we saw a bit of buying interest coming back into the market.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.